Welcome to the first of an occasional series of video news stories covering events and issues that could impact on the lives of people living in the Lake Eyre Basin. As images of the Georgina River running in a 50-kilometre wide flood inundate the lounge rooms of a still thirsty nation, the question is asked in repetition around the nation, all that water, is it going to waste? And this raises the plethora of plans of water extraction and irrigation to develop the desert rivers to green the interior. But many see further exploitation of the inland rivers as leading to economic and environmental disaster. To create a more powerful protection for rivers, on Wednesday, March the 4th, with the Queensland Election well underway, an alliance between grazier associations and environmental groups was launched.
Well, today's the launch of a very important historic alliance between floodplain graziers and conservation groups. We're calling for the permanent protection of the Channel Country rivers that flow from up in northern central Queensland down into the Lake Eyre Basin.
And we're looking at the issues around how we can get long-term legislative protection for the rivers of the Lake Eyre Basin in Queensland, the Cooper, the Georgina and the Diamantina.
And we're using the opportunity of the Queensland election to put this issue front and centre onto the radars of the political parties that are contesting this election. And we're seeking from them a strong commitment to protect those rivers and provide permanent protection.
To launch the alliance, the Australian Floodplain Association, Coopers Creek Protection Group, the Wilderness Society and the Pew Foundation set up outside Queensland Parliament House, and the organic beef from the Channel Country brought the media a humming.
Well, the ultimate goal is to achieve long-term protection for the river, not just a 10-year plan as is the current state of affairs.
We have joint aims. We're after very similar things here of what's required, and that is long-term permanent protection of these rivers. That's what's required. If we don't have that, the risk is it'll go down the pathways of so many other rivers in southern Australia, of incremental projects coming in, water being taken out, and in total you end up, after sometimes only a few years, highly degraded river systems, loss of beef production, loss of water birds, loss of fisheries. Many regional people have quite reasonable and obvious concerns that this will involve some sort of lock-up, that they won't be able to graze stock, that might stop towns taking water, purchase town supplies. And what we're emphasising here with this alliance, we've been through a lot of this detail already and we need to keep in discussions, is the protection we're talking about is to stop major destructive projects coming in and causing over-extraction.
This is not a lock-up agenda. This is an agenda to ensure the rivers stay as they are. We're not talking about getting people off the country. In fact, we want people on the country, looking after the country, managing the country and turning off, organic, sustainable beef.
It brings together people with quite different perspectives. One from a production perspective, sustainable beef industry, and of course from the environment side.
Well, one of the things we're doing is we're employing someone for 2 years to work with the communities and discuss all the issues around legislative protection, and it's a win-win for everyone. We've had our beef and wool industries and communities living on the rivers for 150 years and they're still in great shape.
The Australian Floodplains Association will be housing a staffer whose job will be to actually work in the catchments and go and talk to the local community about what the options are that are available.
And if we take the right steps now to look after our rivers, we can continue on with our industries and our communities and tourism, and our river systems will still be in great shape and functioning, and they're going to be ever more important as the rivers, in particularly the Murray-Darling, become more and more compromised.
The alliance is formed, and as we've heard, the goal is to seek long-term legislative protection for the desert rivers, in particular those of the Lake Eyre Basin. This protection will be to whole use of the water as it is now for grazing, homestead and community use. By already advertising for a long-term person to travel the catchments and support the need for protection, the Alliance shows it is seriously funded and committed to bringing to fruition its goals. This has been one of an occasional series of news stories brought to you by Desert Channels Queensland, informing to help informed decisions.